Originally, back in the 70s, we went to a concert to see Paul McCartney and Wings. I was in the audience and I heard the sound of this piano that he played, and the piano sounded unbelievable. And so I went to the front of house guy, asked him how or what he was using to make the piano sound like that, and he said I was using an Aphex Aural Exciter, and I said, a what? Never heard of it. Neither had anybody else for that matter. And he said, yeah, just ask this guy here who was standing next to him, who was Kurt Knoppel, who's the guy who designed it. And originally it was designed as a piece of gear to be used for live performance. Kurt and I became very fast friends, and I asked him if he'd ever tried using it to mix a recording, and he said no, they never had. And I said, well, I'd like to try it. I was just getting ready to mix a new Linda Ronstadt record called Hasten Down the Wind. So he brought a unit over to the studio, and we tried a couple different setups trying to figure out the best way to use it. And what I came up with is using it as a send-return device, where I could send individual amounts of different instruments and vocals and backgrounds and stuff to the Aphex and then return it to the stereo mix. And it just worked sensational. And so from that point on, we started using it on everything I did. Whether it was Linda Ronstadt or James Taylor or Neil Diamond. I used it with the Four Seasons, doing December 63, Oh What a Night, Pablo Cruz. I mean, everybody that I worked with at that point on, I mixed using the Aphex Aural Exciter. And the funny part is that we had to put a credit on the record saying this was mixed using the Aphex Aural Exciter system. And there was a lot of engineers and people in New York that thought we were pulling everybody's leg with this device because they hadn't seen it and tried it. So they thought it was like a West Coast thing, trying to make everybody think that we were doing something they didn't know how to do. In reality, we really used it. You know, when you first try it, your first inclination is that it's just EQ. It just makes things brighter. But then Kurt said to me in the beginning, put it on a voice, get it where you like it, and then try to use any equalizer you have in the studio and try to match it. And I tried it, and I couldn't do it. So it's obviously more than just making things brighter. All the Aphex Aural Exciters, which I think there were 5 of them originally, were rentable. You could not buy them. You paid for it by the minute, and then they stopped making the actual tube version, which is what the Waves plugin is patterned after. They started making a solid-state version, which to me didn't sound anything the same, so I stopped using it at that point. I mean, Waves is, it's uncanny how they get algorithms to make things sound the way they sound. When we finally got it nailed, it was like undetectable. You couldn't tell the difference. It was just amazing to me how they can do that. And I tried to make it so that they could, you know, get it perfect, because I was like really, you know, I knew what they sounded like and what it should sound like, having used it for many years. But it's perfect. I mean, it's unbelievable.